Today, Fat Shark released a vision update that reveals exactly what they're planning for the future of Darktide. Within it, they announced that their first true update of the year will focus on a revamp and expansion of the penance system, with new rewards and new ways to earn them. They say to keep an eye out for a dev blog that will be released by the end of this month, which will give some more information regarding the overhaul of the penance system. After that, they're planning to overhaul Darktide's itemization process, which I interpret to mean an overhaul to weapons, their properties, and how we obtain them. They say they want to remove the RNG aspects of their current system to also remove the unpredictable grind, primarily in an effort to grant more player agency overall. They also say that they will be adding more content sprinkled throughout 2024, including new missions, enemies, weapons, and conditions, as well as continuing updating for balance and quality of life improvements, although we have no specific timeline for these new additions. While this information is nice to know, it is admittedly not very much to go on. My assumption for the vagueness is because they don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, which I do understand, but can't help but wish that we got just a little more information about the when rather than the what. Considering we're getting a dev blog by the end of this month, it's pretty safe to assume that Darktide won't be getting any significant updates until at least April, but past that, we have no idea what the timeline for updates will look like. In regards to the content itself, I am looking forward to the new penance system and this new way to earn them that they're hinting at. I don't know if this means they're just adding new challenges or an entire new mechanic surrounding these penances, but regardless, I hope that the new rewards are going to be really cool cosmetics and not just recolors. Maybe the rewards could even be some free Aquilus. It would definitely allow them to compete with Helldivers, who gives out a large amount of their own premium currency in-game for free. An overhaul of the weapons and potentially even crafting system, though, is also going to be huge. The comment of giving players more agency makes me think that they're actually listening to our feedback, as the lack of player agency is something that I and many other players have critiqued in the past. Realistically, I could see this change going one of two ways. They either tweak the existing system to dial back the RNG across the board, or they completely revamp how items function in order to remove RNG elements entirely. The former could include changes like removing weapon locks, setting a minimum power level on weapons of each rarity, and massively buffing the weapons that appear in Melk's shop, while the latter could go in an infinite number of directions depending on how they want to balance things, with the most obvious being something like the item system in Vermintide. I can't even begin to imagine how they would completely rework Darktide's weapons system, but knowing that they're actively changing it for the better and listening to our feedback gives me a lot of hope. As for the rest of the changes, we simply just don't know enough to really draw any conclusions or ideas, but I do think it's interesting that they specifically called out new enemies. This could either mean new enemies within the current factions of the game, or entirely new factions altogether. While they were making Vermintide, Fat Shark said that new enemies were really challenging for them to make, which is why in 6 years of development, we've only gotten one new faction with 3 enemy types. If Fat Shark is promising new enemies for Darktide, this means that they've either had these enemies in the works since the start, or they're finally confident enough in their own abilities to add them within the game. Either way, it makes me really interested to see what they're going to add over the rest of 2024. As I said in a previous video, Fat Shark's development cycle is slow and stuck in their old ways, but they aren't the kind of studio to up and abandon their game. Darktide will be fine, and it will become the best 40k game on the market. It'll just take some time.